are revisiting the division strategy, multiples of 10. And just to remind you, we use multiples of 10 because 10 is a friendly number. It is easy to multiply other numbers by 10. Today we're going to try using this strategy with a very big number like 362. And just as a reminder, 362 is the number that's going to be divided. That's called the dividend. Okay? And we're going to divide 362 by 7. 7 is the amount in each group that's being divided, that 362 is being divided. Another way to say that is the divisor. And finally, we're searching for the quotient, which is the number of groups or the number of groups of 7 we have in 362. So dividend, divisor, quotient. I'm going to put these over here so that we have some room to solve. As you remember, using this strategy, the first thing that we do is we ask ourselves, is there 10 groups of 7 in 362? Yes, 70 is a much smaller number, and there's at least 10 groups of 7 in 362. We'll take that 10 group of 7 and we'll place it up here, keeping our place value, and subtract 70 from the total. When we do that, that leaves us with 292. So now we have to ask ourselves, are there 10 more groups of 7 in 292? Well, there has to be at least 10 groups of 7 in 292 because it's a much smaller number. So now we're going to take this next 10 groups of 7, place it up here, and subtract 70 from the total. When we do that, we're left with 222. Again, are there another 10 groups of 7 in 222? Yes. And now we'll take that 10 and we'll add it up here where we're working on finding our quotient. And then we'll subtract 70 from what's left in the total. When we do that, we get 152. So now we have to ask ourselves, is there another 10 groups of 7 in 152? Well, there has to be because 70 is a smaller number. So we will multiply that again. And then we'll take those 10 groups of 7 and place them up here. Uh-oh, I'm almost running out of space. And now we'll subtract 70 from the total. When we do that, that leaves us with 82. Is there another 10 groups of 7 in 82? I think so, because 70 is less than 82. And now we're going to take the next 10 groups of 7 and put it up here and subtract 70 from the remaining total, which leaves us with 12. So now, can I do that again? Are there another 10 groups of 7 in 12? No, there's not, because 70 is much bigger than 12. So now I have to think, how many groups of 7 are in 12? Well, I know there's at least one group of 7 in 12. So I can add that 1 up here. Oof, I'll put it up here. I hope you guys can see it. 1. And now I'm subtract that from the total, which leaves me 5. Now, is there another group of 7 in 5? No, there's not, because this is smaller than the divisor, or the number that's dividing the dividend. So this will become our remainder. Now my last step is I need to add these all up. These are all my groups of 10, my groups of 7, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 plus 1. So my quotient, or my answer, is 51 groups of 7 with a remainder of 5. Now, that worked, but was it efficient? That took us a long time, didn't it? So I'm thinking that there might be a more efficient strategy to use when I'm dividing such big numbers. So rather than thinking about just 10 groups of 7, maybe I can look at this problem in another way. Let me show you what I mean. I'm going to write this again. 362 divided by 7. Well, I I think I can multiply a math fact by 10 to get closer to the dividend. So I'm looking at 362, which is close to 350. This is making me think, well, I know 5 groups of 7 is 35. We all know that, don't we? Therefore, 50 groups of 7 is 350. Now I can just go ahead and take those 50 groups of 7 and place them right up here. And I'm going to now subtract 352 from my total, which leaves me with 12. And as we did before, I know that there's at least one group of 7 inside of 12, which I will then place up here and subtract 7 from my total to get 5. And we know that there's no more groups of 7 and 5 because 5 is smaller than 7 and 7 couldn't fit. That's going to become my remainder. And now all I have to do is add my 50 groups of 7 and my 1 group of 7 to get a quotient or an answer of 51 groups of 7 with a remainder of 5. So in this situation, which one was more efficient? This way, where I thought about a math fact and multiplied that by 10 to get close to the dividend, or continuing to use 10 groups of 7 or 10 groups of the divisor over and over. What do you think? Which one was more efficient? I think this one was. So friends, when you're dealing, or mathematicians, when you're dealing with larger numbers, think, is there a math fact that I can multiply by 10 that will get me closer to the dividend rather than multiplying the divisor by 10 over and over? Friends, you can use this strategy or this one, whichever one you prefer, on your next problem set. And of course, always when you encounter a division strategy in your in problem solving, whether it's word problems or not. Okay, I'll see you soon.